What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday evening. You know, it is hump day. Well, if you're listening on the podcast, it's probably Thursday morning or whatever you're listening to this thing. But we got a great show today. We got Mr. Alex Strouf from ESPN Milwaukee. He's jumping in here. He's actually here right now. But before we jump him in here, I want to talk to you about the sponsors real quick. I had it up here. Here it is. Quick Trip. Starting March 24th throughout September 25th, the program is similar to last year's Brewers campaign. Fan zone points can now be redeemed for Brewers or Twins tickets. Every dollar spent earns you one fan zone point in the Quick Rewards app. More details over at the Quick Rewards app, so be sure to check that out. Quick Trip is trying to get you to some Brewer games, you know what I mean? So shout out to Quick Trip. And also, obviously, Nicolay Law, another great sponsor, and they're working a lot with Quick Trip. They're giving away money every week. Be sure to check the Quick Rewards app for that as well. And if you get injured in an accident, you know, you're dealing with those insurance companies and whatnot, Nicolay Law has a hookup. Check out nicolaylaw.com. You can find them on social media and all that stuff. But now we got to bring in the star of the show, Mr. Alex Strouf. How are we going to bring this? All right, here we go. I figured it out. Here we go. What's up, Alex?
Just a genius. It's really good to see you. I know we were texting, what was that, last week? I think it's been 2 years since we've done one of these, man. I mean, for guys that used to drink 16 spotted cows and break down Packers games every week together, it's been way too long. So thank you for the invite. Really good to see you, man. And looking forward to what chaos we're going to cause and arguments in the comment sections will cause over the next hour or so.
Yeah, I think like early on we did a lot of streams together, and that's like when I kind of first started. So I feel like you taught me like a lot about because like you were doing stuff at Game of Wisconsin, you kind of know how shows were. But the shows with you, those call-in shows, those were just like insanity.
Yeah, I mean, we figured out. So that would have been what, like 21. It would have been the 2020 season, right? It was the COVID season. I think we did that together. To figure out how our two drunk dumbasses figured out how to get other drunk dumbasses to tell us their thoughts on the Packers. It was a remarkable thing. COVID was no fun, but that was. So,
dude, it was. We used to have, dude, I remember like, dude, I used to get pretty lit like during the game, and then we do those post game shows.
Oh,
and
I
then, like,
I had to babysit. I know,
dude, but like, because I feel like if they're winning big, you're drinking, you're having a good time, you're like celebrating. If they're losing, you're doing the same thing for other reasons.
Drowning the sorrows, right?
Yeah. So those were great things. I remember. I remember always thinking like when we met you, I think you were still in college, like right at the end.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, like, this dude's going to be, like, all over the radio. He's going to, like, your voice is just magical. I mean, and I'm not the first one to probably think that. That's why you went to college for that.
Magical might be the first time I've heard that.
You have that radio voice. Like, if someone, I don't know, like, if you picked your voice, like, if you put your voice against others and just said, what's this guy do for a living? I think most people would be like, he's on the radio. He's got to be.
Well, it'd be an accurate assessment, I guess. But yeah, no, man, I'm lucky. I get to do this for a living now. You know, and back when you and I collaborated a ton, like you and I were both just trying to figure out how the hell the internet worked, right? Like, how do you do this? So, no, I'm really lucky, and you know, I look forward to going to work every day, and it's been awesome. So, anyway. What are we talking about tonight?
All right, so we're going to talk about some free agency stuff. We're going to talk about, you know, the Packer fans. They're a little bit worked up. But before we get into all the Packer stuff, we're going to answer questions. So if you have questions, hammer the chat. We're going to get to all of them. But I want to ask you that, you know, working at ESPN Milwaukee now and getting to talk to, like, I see clips. You're talking to the players, like you were in ESPN Madison for a little bit, talking to the Badger players. I think you probably still do that a little bit. But what's it like living your life, like, you know, like you say, you get to talk sports every day for a living. You get to talk to some cool people. You got some cool other people that you talk to on the radio, and also like the players that you interact with. So, what's it like having your job?
I mean, it's awesome, right? Like I'm very lucky. You know, I work in radio and social media every day of the week, so. I mean, it's cool, right? Like a lot of my actual job is behind the scenes, pressing buttons, producing, and, you know, designing video, social media, cutting clips, right? Like that's the 9 to 5 essentially. And then obviously the other other really cool opportunities, hosting our Packers pregame show with guys like Brian Bulaga and John Anderson from SportsCenter and Jason Wilde and Rob Domofsky. I'm super lucky, right? Like timing and luck is half of this battle. And hard work's the other part. And, luckily I like to work. I don't have much of a life outside of work, to be real honest with you, Matt, but that's kind of always been the case. So no, I don't know, man. I don't know how to answer what it's like on a day-to-day, because every day's different, but sometimes it's frustrating. And today was one of those days, because we're talking about McCole Hardman, and some fans are acting like that is, and I know we'll get to this, but some fans are acting like that was Brian Gutekunst's number one receiver solution, when in reality, this is a guy that might not even make the 53 come the end of preseason. So, I get to talk about the Packers and press buttons and sometimes cut audio, and it's fun. I love my life. I've figured it out to a point. I've been in Milwaukee almost a year now, and I'm learning more about the city and the different concert venues and breweries, and it's awesome. I love this state. I love Wisconsin, as you know. I grew up in Green Bay. I went to school in Stevens Point. I lived in Madison, as you mentioned, for 3.5 years. I love Wisconsin, and it's been cool to make at least the start of a career out of talking sports in Wisconsin, which is, I never want that to change. And, if it ever does, it was a damn good run,
I think it'll probably last for a bit. I think you do a great job. You know what I mean? All right. So now enough of being so nice to you.
Yeah, what the hell's this? This is not. I didn't think we were talking about me here.
No, but
I wanted to make fun of your eyes and all that good stuff. When did we get to that part?
Yeah, we'll get to it. Usually, always get to it. All right, so let's talk about Packer fans, and I want people to hammer the chat. I'll try to get to as many as I can. If you have questions, I know we have a few here, but let's talk about the newest Packers edition, because I posted on Facebook, and like people have gone crazy, but like you said, he wasn't picked up to fix the Packers and like save the day. Like, he's a kick returner, he's fast. Maybe he can help at wide receiver. Maybe he makes the team. Maybe he doesn't. He's not every like selection they get, whether it's a draft. The draft is different, but like anytime they sign somebody, it's not always a blockbuster. Sometimes it's just a role guy. It's a guy who can help in certain different ways. But what do you think about that? What I don't know. Is it just Packer fans, or like I get the passion, but I feel like very angry group these days. And it's March.
It's March, right? So there's nothing going on. And as we are as NFL fans, we crave action, because the NFL rules all, right? Like, I am a huge college basketball fan. It's my second favorite league to follow, NCAA basketball. So like, obviously this week I'm in heaven, man. Tomorrow and even tonight, I've got the games on in the background here, or the game, I should say, in the background here. But I think why there is anger, not that I'm a psychologist or a therapist by any means, but I'm going to do my best attempt here, is there was an expectation this offseason that the Packers would bring in a true number one, right? Davante Adams was the big name. He's a guy who, understandably, I get, he's 31. That's not a very Brian Gutekunst move, but he is a top-end receiver who still has some tread left on the tires as an elite guy. So that was an expectation we built up once the season ended to now. Ultimately, obviously, he signs with the Rams. They don't necessarily fix the wide receiver one position. So we have this expectation in our head of, okay, they're going to address wide receiver one. They're going to bring in a real guy. Cooper Kupp, Stephon Diggs, Davante Adams, yada, yada, some of the names that have been thrown out. They bring in McCole Hardman. He's not a number one receiver, never has been, never will be. Hate to break it to you. Now, I don't know what the Packers are thinking in the building. I'm a fan, right? Like, I assume they're probably going to draft them in the second or third round, and they're just going to hope for the second year in a row that Jaden Reed or Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs takes a jump. Now, McCole Hardman seems to me like a signing, to your point, where Keyshawn Nixon is going to play a more important role in the defense than he ever has, and he's going to come off kick returns. And Jaden Reed was returning punts for a majority of last season. they don't want their top receiver getting injured by returning punts. So he'll come in and fill those roles, and him and Bo Melton will compete for the fourth receiver until Christian Watson returns. So I don't get the anger. I'm with you, right? This wasn't a Devontae Adams-esque move. This was not a move to sign a number one receiver. This was a move to sign a guy that can help on special teams and provide some wide receiver depth. It's as simple as that. To me, I don't know if you view it any differently, but that's how I view it.
Yeah, that's exactly how I see it. And I see if anything, he's on the field as a wide receiver. I think it would be because his speed can catch attention. But like, yeah, he's not going to be. I think the main part of it was on the return game because Nixon said last year he doesn't want to do it, and I kind of get the feeling that if he's going to be a bigger role, that they wouldn't want him to do it because like why risk injury if he's gonna be a big part of your defense. So like, yeah, I get the move, but like I also get like the frustration because everyone talks about Goody, how he said we got to, I forget the wording he said, but basically he said we got to be more aggressive, we got to get after it. Yeah, urgency is the word he used, and then people kind of translate that to, like, to him. I don't know if he meant just that, go get everyone, because they got two guys now, three. They're not gonna spend all the money. Like DK Metcalf, that was a nice little topic that people could talk about on podcasts and on the radio and whatnot, but like $30 million a year, or I forget the
time out. I just noticed the cat. Who's the cat? Introduce us.
Oh, we got a cat over here. The cat likes to pop in. The cat's name is Lucy. I always forget the cat's name. My wife gets mad if people ask me. I have people on, but we have a cat named Charlie, and I remember that name, but never remember Lucy. But Charlie and Lucy, they kind of go together, so I should remember.
Who's your? I assume Charlie is your favorite.
No, I don't like that cat.
So you like Lucy?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because this cat's kind of chill, but also
remember her name then, would you?
I know that's why she gets upset. But like this, like when I'm not down here, every time I come down here, she's laying right here. So she doesn't like me. I think she's like all over me because she's like, "Why are you here?" Because I'm not out here that much. Just when I'm doing like streams or watching TV or drinking. But so I guess kind of a lot.
That sounds like
but this is her spot.
Of your life, yeah.
But this is her spot. Yeah, it's funny because during my game stream, she'll just like this used to be over here. It's a different spot, but she just like lays up here. Look, she like wants to like box, whatever. But yeah, so shout out to the cat Lucy.
Sorry to derail you. I was very thrown off.
Yeah, because cat, dude, everyone is like cats pop up that they don't know. They're like, oh, why is there a cat right there trying to box you? But yeah, I forgot what we were talking about, but I bet it was awesome.
I bet it was. Yeah, McCole Hardman or something.
Yeah, but hey, we have a question here from Kyle.
Yeah, what'd he say?
He pops in. He said, "Who is Strouf's favorite producer of all time?"
I'm gonna dig for however I can't answer Kyle Hoffenbecker. Tiny Hands, who's my producer on Mr. Irrelevant, Hunter Vaughn. Yeah, Hunter Vaughn is my favorite producer of all time. It's not Kyle Hoffenbecker, who produced the Alex Strouf show back in the day. Definitely not him.
Yeah, so there you go. So Kyle, I don't know what you're looking for there. I'm not sure you got it though. All right, so all right, I'm gonna try to get to some comments here that are talking about football. Here we go. Hardman is basically the Funchess signing, insurance for injuries, and hope he can turn into something low cost, high reward.
Yeah, that's the term I used on Twitter last night. Low risk, high reward. Goody's really good at those. He's been good at those, right? Rasul Douglas is a great example of a guy plucked off a practice squad and evolved into a really good guy. Devondre Campbell, the first contract, came in, developed into an all-pro. He's good at those like signings that you say, well, that doesn't really mean anything to me. And then they evolve into those. I don't know that McCole Hardman will evolve into a great receiver for the Packers, but could he become a nice piece, a nice third option? Yeah, I think so. So I'm with who was that? Iowa Joe. I'm with Iowa Joe on that. All
right, yeah, I am too. Yeah. So what do you think the ceiling is on this guy? Like, do you think he sees? I wouldn't say the ceiling, but like, do you think he gets a lot of reps at wide receiver, or do you think it's kind of like Melton?
Not. Yeah, I think he'll probably compete with Melton. And look, I mean, I know we know this, but just to point it out, right? You're without Christian Watson until probably Thanksgiving, right? He tore his ACL in that final game of the year. So, I don't know. Could be a third, fourth, fifth option offensively, and maybe he's more than that. I could be wrong, but I would guess that's probably his role. I don't want to estimate a ceiling because
Yeah.
hopefully his ceiling is Calvin Johnson 20.
Yeah. Say hopefully it's higher than you can
2012,
imagine.
Right. Hopefully he becomes the best receiver in NFL history. I don't know. But yeah, I don't know.
So, like going into this free agency period, did you think that there was any chance like the big names were going to come, whether it be free agency or through a trade? There's some guys that were available through a trade. Did you have any confidence that Goot was going to pay big top money for someone?
Yeah, I did. I thought corner was going to be the position, and obviously they brought in Nate Hobbs from the Raiders, but that's a depth corner. That's not really like not to get too nerdy on you, but DJ Reed, who signed with the Lions, like that was the guy I had a huge crush on. And I know he's only 5'8", but he's a proven corner, or 5'9", whatever he is. Yeah, I thought he would spend some more money than he did. I take that back. I thought he was going to spend money, which he did. I just didn't anticipate he would spend money on a left guard, right? Like I didn't think Aaron Banks was going to be the big signing. So all in all, though, like again, it's the middle of the offseason. We still need to go through the draft, which by the way is in Green Bay, and I'm so damn excited.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I saw you were up at Lambeau the other day. Like I'm so jacked up for that.
Dude, it's really awesome.
So I don't know. It's way too early for me to say, hey, this team looks like garbage. But the other NFC teams are spending money, right? The Commanders were just in the NFC Championship game. They're spending a bunch of money. The Eagles obviously lost some pieces, but retaining, extending, and signing some pieces. The Lions making moves. The Vikings making moves. I know we don't like to talk about the Bears on the show, but I'm going to bring them up. Signing a center, trading for 2 guards. They're upgrading an offensive line for a young quarterback. So there are teams that are competing with the Packers that are making impressive moves. But what we have to keep in mind is the Packers are still the youngest team in the league. They are still a team that is on the rise. They are still a team that has made back-to-back playoff appearances with a quarterback starting in his first and second year. Now, not in the league, but his first and second year starting. So this is still a team that is ascending, despite the lack of sexy moves they made in the offseason. So I'm not going to freak out yet, Matt. If they start the season 0-3, maybe I freak out. But
yeah,
right now, I think they're still a team that is in a really good spot and is trending in the right direction.
So do you think that their thoughts is because like with not grabbing a wide receiver? Do you think it's more like we're not paying that, or is it more like we have faith that these guys? Because like every year, young players, you hope that they take a step. So are they thinking the guys we have are going to take a step and maybe they draft a wide receiver? But I feel like drafting wide receivers, unless you get lucky, because I don't think that you really know, like you have a Justin Jefferson. These guys, their first year where they're great. Like the wide receivers in Green Bay generally, maybe that was a little bit because Aaron Rodgers never trusted rookies. But like,
yes. So I typically really love the saying 2 things can be true. Given everything you just said, 3 things can be true, right? So number 1, they're not going to pay a wide receiver who's old. They're just not going to do it. The fact that they didn't even reach out to Devontae Adams tells you that. Number 2, yes, I assume they think Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks can take a step in year 3 and for Romeo Dobbs year 4. And number 3, yeah, Aaron Rodgers just didn't trust younger players. And that's okay, right? That's just how he was. He is an all-time great for a reason, right? Whatever his weird, meticulous, calculated moves were, they were what they were, and he was a great quarterback and probably still will be, depending on where he ends up and when he ends up, wherever he ends up. So, yeah, no, I think everything you said is right. Like, I think Goody probably views it from a standpoint of, I expect these guys to take a step forward. We did that last year, so as a fan, I'm a little irritated, but I also think Jaden Reed is going to be an amazing NFL wide receiver, and I think Dontavian Wicks, if he cleans up the drops, which I remind you Devontae Adams struggled with, and I'm not saying Dontavian Wicks is going to be Devontae Adams, but
no, we're clipping it. We're clipping that.
You're right. Yeah. But I think, I think this is a team that can evolve into these receivers are receivers that can evolve into really nice pieces, and hopefully they can evolve into true number 1s. But we tried that last year. It didn't work. Run it back. We'll see what happens. I don't know. This is still a team on the rise, though. So do I think we're going to win the Super Bowl? Am I going to sit here and advocate, like, watch out, Packers, go to your local sports book, pick them as the Super Bowl champion next year? No, but they're a playoff team. They're going to be in the mix. You might, and same here. I'll
I know. Well, I'm not wearing a hoodie. I thought I was. I thought I was wearing a Homer hoodie because.
Oh, I mean, I'm right there with you, bro. I'm as Homer as they come. So that's why I'm not freaking out. Like I trust LaFleur. I trust Goody. I trust Jordan Love. We're in a good spot. Anything can happen. And again, this is still a young team that's on the up and up. So.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't like to say this because it sounds very excusey, but like Jordan Love, he had some injuries last year.
Yeah.
The wide receivers had the drops. The passing game just wasn't clicking. It wasn't really working. So you hope that a lot of that can be cleaned up. You hope Jordan Love isn't hurt next year. You hope Wicks is working, to get his head right. Whatever he has to do to catch the ball, I think he's got potential to be a dude. Like you said, are they all gonna, who's gonna be number one? I don't know. Because last year I was all about hey, we don't need a number one wide receiver. We can spread it around. It's a perfect situation. Then the season happened. I was like, all right, maybe we need someone that you can really depend on. And that's why I was big on Devontae Adams coming here. Not DK Metcalf, but Devontae Adams, because he's a guy who can route runner, great route runner, maybe the best. And so even at his age, he could get open. He could still play. I think he'll do fine in LA. And not only that, but I feel like that route running is such an important part of a wide receiver's game that if you, as a younger wide receiver, can watch someone who is at the top of his game at route running, that doesn't hurt you. Especially the work ethic Devontae has to have to do what he's been doing. And he was the guy. So when he was gone, I was just like, oh, because I didn't really. I'm not to say I didn't want DK, but I knew that was going to be. You're going to give away a lot of picks, give away a lot of money. Goody's not doing that. That's not what he does. He's not going to change. He's not like a drunk guy playing Madden. The franchise mode. I'll give you all my draft picks and all the money. It's just not going to happen. I do that sometimes.
Yeah, me too, brother.
Then I have to reset because I screwed the team up. And then I'm going to go on a podcast and this is what they need to do. You can't even run a Madden franchise, bro. What are you talking about?
Exactly. And you're right on DK. The price tag was too expensive, both in terms of what the Steelers ended up actually paying him. But then, yeah, I mean, if the Packers were going to pull it off, it was going to take a pick and player and then a contract. It just never made sense for the Packers. While I would have loved to have a guy like DK Metcalf, it was never going to be DK Metcalf. So Devontae seemed like the one that made sense. And, the fact they didn't get him and didn't pay what the Rams did, I get. The part I will never understand, and I think eventually Goody will be asked about it. It might be a couple months before we hear from him again, but the one thing I won't get is never even reaching out, right? Never calling the agent saying, hey, you open to the reunion? Because Devontae on the record was open to the reunion. And again, I know Goody hates anybody over 30. He's an ageist. But that one will never make sense to me.
Yeah, in Green Bay, they are not an equal opportunity employer. If you are over 30.
You can't work here unless you're a kicker.
Unreal. I think Devontae would have been great. It is weird that they never reached out because he always talks about we check every possibility. We talk to that's whenever they're named and
right.
Oh, you were talking to us, but we check every box.
Mix, right?
Yeah, always in the mix. But they weren't in the mix on Devontae, and I guess I kind of get it. They don't want. I don't know. I think Devontae would have been great in Green Bay if the price was right, and if they didn't feel like the price was going to be right, then. I get that, but I don't get really not asking because you never know. He might have
not even reaching out and saying, "Hey, you interested?" or can you do a 2-year deal? But also, neither of us are NFL general managers.
Oh
maybe it's more complicated than that. I don't know. Just my perspective as a fan, I would have been into it. So
yeah. I'm in my basement, so yeah. So there's a reason for that. All right, so you talk about the big signing, offensive line. How do you see the offense? I don't talk about offensive line ever because I'm the I can talk about wide receivers because I see them, but I'm not watching film on offensive line to be like, yeah, that guy's good. That guy's.
Are you implying I do?
Yeah. Well, stuff sometimes, some more than me. But how do you figure this offensive line shapes up? They added someone. Give the people on Facebook land. We're always talking about offensive. They'll ask me a question. What do you think the offensive line is going to be? Dude, I don't know. What do you think?
You and me for a minute, Facebook. You listen. YouTube, go the hell away for a minute. Just me and you, Facebook. I
give you the full view.
That's beautiful. Yeah, I think it's I mean, in terms of left to right? So left tackle, I think it will either be Jordan Morgan or Rasheed Walker. Should probably Rasheed Walker. Then left guard, I think, is Aaron Banks. That's who you signed. Elton Jenkins goes to center. And then right guard is either Jordan Morgan or Sean Ryan again. And then right tackle's Zach Tom. So you drafted Jordan Morgan in the first round. You need him to play. And he's got to win one of those two jobs. I think Rasheed's been really good, but he's entering a contract year. So I don't know what they end up doing with him. Could he be, could that be a former 7th round pick who you trade away for a 2nd, 3rd, 4th round pick? Maybe. I think it's unlikely. But I have a hard time believing Jordan Morgan is a guy who just sits on the sidelines again, right? So kind of give him a redshirt year after drafting him in the first round. But to your point, Matt, like I'm not sitting here and crunching the film. I talk to Brian Bulaga on a weekly basis. I talk to Mark, or I listen to Mark Tauscher every day on Wilde and Tausch on our stations at ESPN Wisconsin. Those are guys who played in the trenches for the Packers. I trust their word a hell of a lot more than mine. But the Jordan Morgan thing is still the interesting part because, again, last year, we're waiting on a corner or a defensive end or a linebacker, like a sexy skill position, maybe a wide receiver, right? In the first round, and they go offensive line. You kind of just go, okay, but they don't really need an offensive lineman. But the Packers always operate as a team that needs a 6th or 7th offensive lineman that can really play. And I think what happened, frankly, is in that playoff game at Philadelphia, who was it? Elton Jenkins, I think, got injured, and you fill in a couple different guys. You have false starts, you have bad plays, you have them getting beat. And I think Goody goes, well, if we go down an lineman, because remember, the Packers, 16 of the 17 games last year in the regular season, had the same 5 starters on the offensive line. That's completely unheard of. And when you get to the playoff game, you lose a guy, and you just have all Kadeem Telford and whoever else plugged in there just weren't ready for the opportunity and ready for the stage they were on. So he's probably overcorrecting to a point by bringing in a reliable guard. And obviously you invested a 1st round pick. You lose Josh Myers, but you feel pretty comfortable kicking Elton over to the center and then filling that gap with Aaron Banks. And then you have a 6th in Jordan Morgan, who you would ideally have in the top 5. So I hope that is the extent of our offensive line talk, but that would be my
I think that was good. I might just copy that and post it on Facebook with my words. Like, oh, that's what I think. No, but like, I think watching the Super Bowl too, like you watched the Eagles just decimated. They didn't blitz. They were able to get at the quarterback. So you need offensive line. Like if you're going to play against these teams that can do that. So I get them beefing up the offensive line. But like I said, I'm not the last person to talk offensive line.
Well, I mean, you mentioned defensive line there for a moment. I would just say I think that's the big disappointment of this offseason is
the pass rush.
Nothing to the pass rush. And you can look at sack numbers. I think it's like 40, maybe not 40, but 35% of the Packers sacks last season came in 3 games against bad teams. One of them was the Titans, one of them was the Colts, and I don't remember the third. So I'm disappointed they haven't addressed whether it's D end or, what maybe even D tackle. I like the guys they have in the room, but they need a true game wrecker. And that's why the Max Crosby, the Myles Garrett, the Trey Hendrickson rumors were so fun, because those are true game wreckers. Those are 3 of the best top 5, probably 3 of the top 5 defensive end edge rushers in the league. And ultimately, obviously, the 2 of them, Myles Garrett and Max Crosby, signed extensions. Sounds like Trey Hendrickson is going to with the teams they're already on. But do you draft an edge rusher in the first round? Maybe, but you tried that with Lucas Van Ness a couple of years ago, and that hasn't worked out. So I don't know. This is a team, again, I don't want to sound negative Nancy here. I'm still very high on the Packers, but there are clear holes and there are clear shortcomings that have not been shored up so far through.
Yeah, I think more this year than others where it's like there's some spots where like they have to do something here and they just haven't. Like pass rush is a huge thing. Like when the Packers, like last year, they either had pass rush or they had none.
Well, and then they traded your boy away too, right? Preston Smith gets traded. Rashawn Gary just hasn't been the guy that you signed to the extension. Lucas Van Ness has not lived up to being a 13th overall draft pick through 2 years. Again, now we just talked about the receivers this way. Are they just going to run it back and hope those guys take the step? Maybe. But again, I would argue that's the same thing he did last year. It didn't work out. Besides the answer, Matt Ramage, what is the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results?
Do you think like Rashawn Gary and these guys, because like it's a new defense, it's not new really anymore, but do you think another offseason can propel? I think Rashawn Gary already knew the defense, but I don't think. Do you think Rashawn Gary is getting like doubled and like he's getting knocked off, or where they need someone on the other side to like take that away, or do you think that Rashawn Gary just has to? Because I think Rashawn Gary, it's hard for me to say anything because I love Rashawn Gary with everything, and I feel like his motor is just insanity, but it just hasn't been getting the numbers. So yeah, what do you think they have to do with? Are they going to have a pass rush this year? Basically, that's what I'm asking.
I hope so. I mean, I am not Jeff Halfley, Matt. Believe it or not, I know I'm really handsome, and but I am not Jeff Halfley. I hope so. Like it's a guy. It's a guy you signed to a big contract a couple years back, and you expect that, but he still has yet to eclipse 10 sacks in a season. He hasn't gotten double digits. You want numbers. You want production. You want something that opposing offenses are going, you cannot let that guy ruin the game. I don't think you face offenses, especially this upcoming year with the schedule they'll have. I don't think you're going to face a lot of offenses that go, 52, Rashawn Gary, watch out. I hope that's what, and I know he plays a different position, but Edgerrin Cooper, right? Like, I think that's a guy opposing offenses are going to go, that's a guy that can wreck our game. I don't think opposing offenses feel that way about Rashawn Gary right now. Now, can that change? I sure hope so. But am I convinced it's going to? No. We'll see. A lot of this, unfortunately, as we talk in March, is we will see. I'm not going to have an answer for at least 6 months.
March is a wild time. It's total, speculation. So let's talk about the NFC North, and then I want to talk about the draft a little bit. The NFC North, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of them are, a lot of teams are making moves. The Vikings, they're in the mix, talking about Aaron Rodgers. Now I think they kind of said we're over that talk. So first of all, let's talk about that. I thought the Vikings weren't interested in Rodgers, and I thought Rodgers wasn't interested in the Vikings like a couple weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when they're kind of, and then everyone's kind of talking like, oh, maybe they both are kind of interested in each other. Do you think there was any realistic like how do you think that went about? Was it the Vikings coach, what's his face, the good looking guy? Was it him that was kind of like, no, I don't want it? Because they said that they're kind of waiting on him. I thought.
No, I don't think the Vikings ever said they were waiting on him. I think Rodgers is interested in the Vikings. I don't think to your point, I don't think the Vikings are interested in Rodgers. I think they're sold on JJ McCarthy, which I'll remind you. They were sold on J.J. McCarthy last year, or Achilles, I can't remember. So then they started Sam Darnold, and obviously Sam Darnold went on to have an unbelievable season, and now he got paid a lot by Seattle. I think the Vikings are just committed to J.J., which is fine. And a type of veteran quarterback they'll bring in is a guy that's comfortable being a backup. If we know one thing about Aaron Rodgers, he loves some Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he ain't no one's backup.
And that's okay, right? Like and frankly, as much as I don't like listening to Aaron Rodgers talk, I still like watching him play football. I thought, despite a 5-12 or 6-11 record for the Jets, he wasn't great by any means, but he still had flashes of brilliance, like stuff you can't teach, stuff you will not see from the JJ McCarthys, all those young quarterbacks. So despite him being 41, I think or 40, 41, whatever he is, I still think he can go somewhere and be productive for a year. And that's why, to me, Pittsburgh makes a ton of sense. But yeah, Rodgers in Minnesota doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. I don't even remember what your question was. I know it was about Rodgers.
No, but I thought that if Rodgers went to Minnesota, I thought that was his best spot. Because just like the team they have, like they did so well. But like I understood the fact that like they might not want him because they don't really need him because they feel like they have a good team. They got a young quarterback. Hopefully, he's for them he's healthy and all that. Yeah, and they're like the Rodgers does bring a little bit of extra stuff with him.
Oh, you think?
Saying it nicely.
Hey,
He brings some other stuff. So they might like, we don't want that stuff. We feel like we can do it without him.
I think they probably can. Now, do they win 13 games like they did a year ago? I'd say probably not. But when you look at that roster, that's a good team. I mean,
it is. I hate to say it.
They have a debatably maybe the best receiving core in the league, right? When you've got the best receiver in the league in Justin Jefferson, on top of probably the best number 2 in the league in Jordan Addison, and then obviously TJ Hawkinson, a good tight end. Aaron Jones is back there, and they just traded for Jordan Mason, who had that really nice run with the Niners in the backfield. Like whoever it is, if it's JJ McCarthy or if they go elsewhere, you're walking into a pretty darn good offensive situation. Now, the thing I'm happy about is they are probably, as it sounds right now, going to start a quarterback who has never taken a regular season snap in the National Football League. As a Packers fan, I go, yeah, go for it, guys. Go ahead.
Get after it. Hope he struggles.
He ain't winning a Super Bowl. Now, could they still win 9-10 games? Yeah, I think so. Detroit is obviously going nowhere. Right? I mean, they are an incredibly good football team. Now, I mentioned earlier, I know we don't like to mention the Bears in this program. You'll like what I have to say here, though.
Oh, if it's trash talk, we can do it.
The Bears can do whatever they want, Matt. They can trade for the God bless his soul. They can trade for whoever, right? Like they could trade for the best football players that ever walked the face of earth. They're still going to win 5 games. They stink. I don't care if you hire the best coaching option out there in Ben Johnson. I don't care if you bring in the best offensive lineman in football. You are still the Chicago Bears. You are still the Chicago Bears. You are still going to take last place in the NFC North. The Packers are better than you. The Vikings are better than you. The Lions are better than you. You are still the little brother. You are still in the basement. I don't care what they do. So I'm not worried about the Bears. The Vikings and the Lions are good teams. I will not take that away from them. But I am still very happy. I am a Packers fan because I still think they have the highest ceiling as it were and have been. I still think the Packers are the best team. It could be the best team in the NFC. I don't want to say they are because on paper the Lions are. But I still think the Packers have the highest ceiling because they're still young and developing and learning and getting better. And I mean, obviously there are holes and there are things the Packers could shore up. But I'm happy with where this team is at. I think Jordan Love is a quarterback that still we haven't seen his full potential. And I'm hoping this year is the year. Yep. And this could be a team that's in the NFC Championship game this year. I'm not going to predict a Super Bowl, just where we're at on March 19th. But if there's a team that starts out 5-1, you're not going to want to listen to me because I'm going to tell you this is the Super Bowl favorite. You know, I'm a homer. I'm a fan. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a reporter. I'm a fan. And I'm very happy with where this team is at, as much as I would have liked to see them bring in a Devontae Adams or an edge rusher or whatever. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, I agree. The Lions are very good, but having a new offense and defensive coordinator, I feel like that doesn't happen very often. Like to good teams, that aren't blowing something up.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, totally.
Because usually when that happens, it's like everyone got fired because the team sucked. Like they're a good team. They got good players. They got a good head coach. But
yeah, so I guess I just point out. So the last time this happened, where a team's defensive and offensive coordinator both got hired for head coaching jobs, was 2 years ago. Now it was so the Eagles and Chiefs played in the Super Bowl for the first time, and then it was after that season. So that would have been the 2023 season. The Eagles entered without Shane Steichen, and I'm blanking on the coach, the Colts head coach, or Shane Steichen, and then Jonathan Gannon in Arizona. So they both got hired out. Eagles started 10-1. They lost their last 5 games. They lost in the wild card round. They started great without them, and then they just crumbled at the end of the season when it really mattered. Hopefully that happens to the Lions. It's a really tough thing to recover from, given how important those guys allegedly were to the ins and outs of that football team. So you're right. That's a really good point by you. Yeah,
I'm very smart. Yeah,
you are.
What do you think about the new Bears head coach kind of taking kind of a jab at Matt LaFleur? I don't know if it was a jab, but it was weird that he mentioned them because when he first mentioned them, I think, oh, they must be friends. It's kind of, kind of like throwing it out there.
He's a football dork that doesn't know how to deliver comedy. I mean, that was my takeaway from it, right? Like he was trying to make a joke. He did a horrible job. The delivery was awful, and it's probably just going to piss off a dude who is 11-1 in his career against the Chicago Bears. Yeah. Probably not the right guy to make mad. Just my opinion.
Yeah, I thought it was a goofy thing to say. Like I said, like when I first heard it, I was like, oh, they must be friends. All right, so let's keep it moving because I don't want to keep it too long. But the NFL draft is in Green Bay. First of all, what are you doing? ESPN Milwaukee. I'm sure everyone's going to be down there, obviously. So, yeah, what's your plan for the draft?
Yeah, so I'm lucky. I pulled my hey guys. I grew up in Green Bay strings, and they went, okay, what do you want to do? And I kind of gave them some ideas that I can't tell you everything about yet, but I will be up there Sunday to Sunday. I'll be up there all week. I've got some really cool stuff in the works that I'm excited to talk about. My show that I do 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Mr. Irrelevant, which you can find wherever you get your podcast. Shameless plug. I'll be up there doing that. And then I'll be doing some really cool stuff otherwise. And then for the second year in a row, I'll be anchoring our draft coverage Thursday, Friday, Saturday on all of our ESPN Wisconsin stations, and then as well as our sister station 620 WTMJ. So really looking forward to that. It's an awesome opportunity that I'm super grateful to have. Something I don't take lightly because I know how big of a spot that is, right? Like I'm in the backyard of the NFL draft. So really cool spot, really, really excited. But yeah, I'll be up there all week, man. And maybe don't tell my bosses this, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be out partying a little bit because I'm not going to be able to do that Thursday and Friday, right? I'm going to be on the air. I'm going to be covering the draft. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll be bouncing around. You'll see me at Stadium View and all those other bars, So, but no, man, I mean, it's so cool. As I've said 6 times now, I grew up in Green Bay. I grew up in the east side of Green Bay. I went to Martin Elementary School on the east side of Green Bay. I went to Edison Middle School on the east side of Green Bay. That's my hometown. So to see, this type of event, right? A national event, come to our town and invade our city, and have, I mean, it sounds like we're going to have over 1 million people there between the 3 days. It's so cool. It is just, it's once in a lifetime stuff, dude. And so I definitely pulled some emotional strings by saying, "Hey, man, I'm from Green Bay," and they're like,
"My dream, baby."
But they're like, "You're right." So I'm gonna be up there all week and just taking it all in and trying to create some really cool content, doing some radio stuff, doing some social media stuff. Hopefully, I get to have a beer with you at some point, and I'm so excited. Like I said at the top, like I'm super lucky to have the job I have, but also, I'm going to work my ass off. Like I'm going to work 12 hours a day. I'm going to create content. I'm going to be out there doing man on the street and interviewing people that are in from Arizona and Alaska and, Honduras and, all the countries people are going to come from to come see the draft and come see Lambeau Field. I'm excited to hear those people's stories and tell them a little bit. So, I'll be up to a little bit of everything, but I'll tell you, definitely Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday night, I will be out having a few drinks.
I'll be with you. Maybe, we'll definitely have to link. I'm taking a whole week off of work.
Nice.
I'll be down there getting content, drinking. My son lives in Green Bay. I told him, hey, I'm gonna be sleeping. You're gonna see Dad on the couch, and I'm not gonna clean up after myself because that's payback.
Just take an Uber, brother.
Yeah, for real. That's why, because my son lives in Green Bay. He told us because my wife's gonna be, depending on what days she's gonna be up there too. But plan on doing a lot of stuff at the draft because I don't live directly in Green Bay. I live a little too far away it's like a half hour, but a little too much for Uber.
Yeah, that's fair, especially that week. But I didn't know your son moved to Green Bay. That's awesome.
Yeah. He lives right. I don't want to say where he lives, but he lives in Green Bay.
So are you? Good choice. But is he pay or is he charging you like Airbnb rates? Are you paying him $1,000 a night, $2,000 a night to sleep on the couch?
No, I think he has extra room. I slept there once before. I think I was hammered over there, but
Attaboy.
yeah. So, but yeah, he's not. He's definitely not charging. First of all, I still pay his cell phone bill.
Oh yeah,
I'll shut it off.
The couch for free. What I'm curious about though, and have just been like fascinated by, is the Airbnb prices. Like I think people are legally posting their apartments on Airbnb. Like I don't think realtors sign off on that. For like $1,500. Like people are going to get 4 months rent in 3 months, which good on you. Like I respect it, all power to you. But it's actually absurd. The amount of houses and apartments and duplexes that are being rented out for 4 digits plus. But again, respect to the homeowners or
if you want to get your
house, get your money. I agree. Capitalize on a national event happening. But it's fascinating to me the amount that they are going for.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. I don't want no one sleeping in my bed and be going around. I wouldn't want people in my house like that. I don't care the money. I don't live that close anyways. But even like people where I live about 35, 40 minutes from Green Bay. Like there's a campground over here charging whatever they're charging. Like you have to be there 3 nights. It's like $100 a night. It's like way higher. I think, but I would say like advice for people who are coming to the draft and they don't want to pay those crazy prices. It is look for campgrounds who are somewhat close. I mean, it depends if you have a designated driver or not, if you're drinking or not, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but, campgrounds or go to Milwaukee or go to the UP, man.
You're gonna be in the car a while. Yeah, because it's not just Appleton, it's not just Milwaukee. There's small towns. Find a small town, Wisconsin. Do your research. Find those small towns. Maybe some have a hotel. It might not be the most glorious thing, but
they're booked though, bro. I mean, I
know it depends how far you go. Yeah,
I went to high school in Denmark, which is about 15 miles or so south of Green Bay or the stadium, and they just built a hotel last year. That thing's been booked since before construction was finished. I mean,
awesome.
Isn't that? I mean, it's great.
I'm gonna say awesome, but yeah, it's good for that company.
It's awesome for local business, which is why an event like this is great. But not to get too nerdy, but yeah, I mean, it's really really cool, and I know you're excited. I'm so jacked, dude. Like, it's such a once in a lifetime event. I mean. It's a spectacle. It really is. That's what the draft is. It's not like you're seeing these people suit up the night they get drafted, right? They're walking across the stage, dapping up Roger Goodell.
Yeah.
And then that's it, right? You're seeing
that over on Oneida Street.
Right. Which I love how they're setting it up, by the way. I saw you film the video on that the other day. Closing down Oneida, closing down Lombardi, building the stage there. The parking lots are going to be filled with drunk people. Like it is going to be,
it's going to be awesome.
Much fun.
Yeah. I think it's going to be absolutely fabulous. Hopefully I don't get my wallet stolen. A lot of fibs probably coming in. You know what I mean?
Have you had your wallet stolen before?
No, nothing's in there anyway. So it'd be all right.
Yeah, that's fair. I hear you on that.
My wallet doesn't even have a cash spot. That's how wallets are now. There's not even a spot to put the money. Yeah, it's got like a money clip in there for my 1s and 5s. You know what I mean? But only time I have cash is if I go to a bar.
Me too, actually. Or the casino. I go to the casino sometimes. Yeah.
I don't go to the casino. I went to the casino one time. I won a lot of money. Well, like not a lot, but like $500. Paid for our drinks that night, and we got the hotel. We went right out. We went to the bar. Like, I didn't know I won because casinos are so hard now. The machines. Like, if it's making noises and lights are going on, like, I must have won, but I didn't know. And then I got the little paper printed out. Like, oh, look at this. Our hotel room was paid for. Let's get out of here. If you don't know how you win, you shouldn't be playing.
Yeah, but, that's probably true, but unfortunately, that's how it works, right? That's why those buildings are really big. You know, it's not by accident.
Yeah, that is good. So, I think we're going to wrap this thing up. I think the draft is going to be awesome. We should definitely hook up and have a drink. I'll be down there most of the week, I think, doing content.
Twist my arm, Matt. Twist my arm.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I'll be over there at Stadium View. But everyone can let everyone know like where they can find you and all that good stuff.
Yeah, you can get me on Twitter at Alex_Strouf, STROUF. You can find me 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee, 100.5 ESPN in Madison, 1430 ESPN in Beaver Dam every day from 2 to 5 with my guys Kyle Wallace, Ben Brust, and Brad Nortman, as well as my show, Mr. Relevant, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Josh DiMaggio, Hunter Vaughn do a great job. And featured guests throughout, every episode. We talk Packers, but we also talk all things Wisconsin sports on Mr. Irrelevant. Obviously, this time of year, we're talking a lot of college basketball, which, Matt, to be honest with you, as much Packers as I talk, I love getting a little break, talking a little college basketball, Wisconsin Badgers, Marquette Golden Eagles, all the in between. So Mr. Irrelevant available wherever you get your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I've been running the Rate It 4 Stars campaign. So on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, I don't want people to give me 5 stars because you're lying. Right? Like, I'm not giving you a 5-star product. Give me forced with me, right? So if you subscribe, go ahead and rate me 4 stars. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Mr. Irrelevant will be the first result. Now, Matt, Mr. Irrelevant obviously is stolen from the NFL draft. The NFL draft in Green Bay. The final pick of the draft is Mr. Irrelevant. Do you think, since it is my hometown, since I recently went through an NFL combine, which went wildly viral, and everybody makes fun of how unathletic I am.
It's not questions about
do you think I can convince the final team in the draft to draft me?
Oh, I don't know if you can. That'd be a good one. I don't know. It depends. What team?
I don't know who has the last pick in the draft. I should probably do my research as Mr. Irrelevant, but the name of my show the name of the show is Mr. Irrelevant with Alex Strouf.
Yeah, so I think you should. I think you should be drafted. Or maybe you should be the one to announce it.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah.
That would be good. We'll see. I'll continue the campaign, but nonetheless, I appreciate you having me on, bro. And I know we're still on the air, but yes, let me know week of the draft. Would love to meet up. It's long overdue. It's been too long. Like I said, it's probably been 2-3 years, if not longer.
Yeah. Those were like some of the funnest times doing those live streams. I mean, I had a lot of cool people on, but those times, those post-game shows were just chaotic.
They were chaos, and you and I are two guys that thrive in chaos.
Yeah, it was just if they lost, people were like, we need to fire everyone, and the whole team sucks. We're just like, okay.
Yep, go ahead. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna wrap this thing up. Alex Strouf, be sure to check him out on X now and all the places. He's doing great stuff. I'll be rooting for you forever, Alex. I think you're a great human. I think you're great at your job, and appreciate your time right here.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
Go Pack, go. We got some outro music over here.
Yo, welcome to the Ramage Show.